More businesses than ever are using affiliate marketing as a cost-effective way to reach targeted audiences. In the upcoming Fireside chat session, our guests will discuss the nuances of affiliate marketing. I would like to invite Ishan Bose, Chief Marketing Officer, Credit B, and Palash Gaur, VP Business, Mob Avenue, for this chat session. Over to you, gentlemen.
Hello, good day everyone. This is Palash Gaur, VP Business at Mob Avenue. Mob Avenue is a 360-degree growth platform driving programmatic acquisitions, retargeting, and growth management for leading brands across APAC, LATAM, and Russia. We use our in-house proprietary builders along with our solutions to run campaigns for our brand partners. Our platforms optimizes towards end business goal and growth vectors using our predictive buying and supply side modeling techniques. I would like to welcome our guest speaker today, who is a veteran in the industry, TEDx speaker, Mr. Ishan Bose, CMO Credit B. Ishan, welcome and thanks for taking out time today and joining us for this fireside chat session on the topic of nuances of affiliate marketing. Ishan, it would be great if you could also give a quick introduction about yourself and the company. Over to you, Ishan.
Sure. So first of all, thank you very much, Palash, for having me over here, and thanks for the warm welcome and introduction. So yes, I'm Ishan. I'm leading the marketing, sales, and PR for Credit B, which happens to be India's largest fintech lending platform for professionals. In our journey, we started in 2016 when we started with a brand called Crazy Bee, where we were providing loans to college students for their curricular and co-curricular needs. We were the market leaders in that for most of our stint over there. Then in 2018, we thought of moving to the next segment, which is lending to professionals, which is more of a full stack digital lending, starting from origination to disbursement to even repayment. So everything is 100% online. So the idea was to move towards a solution that leverages the true power of digital and tech. And that's what led to the launch of Credit B. And the response has been phenomenal, which made us realize that this is the product that we want to focus. And yeah, I mean, as an individual, I love to do a little bit of public speaking, and I'm glad to be over here. And I hope that I'm able to add some relevant value to the conversation.
Thanks a lot. Just to set the context right, a lot of brands and marketeers today, I mean, they look for a lot of channels apart from the regular paid channels that are Google and Facebook to achieve the next level growth. Affiliate could be one of those channels. And obviously, I mean, it has some pros and cons for it, right? So my first question to you would be, out of all the paid channels and self-attribution channels, what are your thoughts on affiliates or CPA-led platforms specifically in terms of scale? I mean, Ishan, if you could shed some light here.
Right. So see, when you talk about paid platforms, let's say self-attribution platforms are one, like your Google, your Facebook. So when you talk about self-attribution for those who are not aware of or averse to the terms, so these are typically platforms which do the attribution for themselves, and that's how they charge you, right? So let's say when you run your ads on Google, so they will be charging you on the impressions that they track at their end, irrespective of the MMP attribution that you're doing. On the other hand, when you talk about affiliates or CPA-led channels, so over there we identify a cost model around a particular event. It could be a top of the funnel event, or it could be a mid or bottom funnel event, and then we decide and do the payouts accordingly. So now the challenge with let's say, or let's talk about the pros first. So the good part of the self-attribution platform is that it gives a larger control to the advertiser with respect to the input, because these platforms have a huge amount of owned inventory. And the larger your owned inventory is, the easier it is to control the targeting at an advertiser's end, because you have the dashboard available with you and you can tweak or control more variables at your end when it comes to targeting people in a certain way. And because this data is largely owned by the platform itself, the kind of results that you get in these platforms are slightly quicker, right? Because the data is huge and there is more data or more information about each individual that you're targeting. On the other hand, when you talk about the affiliates or CPA-led platforms, so over here, the idea is to kind of look at certain cost models that get you started. So if you start with a cost model which is, let's say, too top of the funnel, which might not give you a huge control to the mid or bottom of the funnel. So for instance, in fintech lending, our funnel is pretty elaborate. So now if we go for a top of the funnel event, then it might not give us great results outright. So the idea is to identify an event which is very suited to your business and design your cost model accordingly. If you are able to do that, then what it does is it helps the advertiser and the affiliate understand the funnel in a better way for the respective affiliate with whom you're running the ads. And over a period of time, it helps you evolve into a cost model or evolve into a business model, which eventually would lead you to get better quality traffic at a lesser cost. So the idea is to have more patience. The idea is to identify the right event and be able to kind of bet on that event and then eventually evolve the cost model over a period of time. If you have the patience, if you have the right acumen to identify the right cost metrics, then eventually the affiliates or the CPA models would give you the best ROI in your medium long.
All right. Completely agree with that. And how much you can, rely on these affiliates, because obviously you cannot rely on these walled gardens like Facebook, Google all the time to give you the same scale possible.
So definitely, when you talk about Google and Facebook, and if you try to do all your advertising on these platforms, the flip side is that you're kind of putting all your eggs in one basket, or let's say two baskets in this case,
Yes.
right? And beyond a point, every channel, even if it is as large as a Google, would have its own limitations to give you the right kind of scale at the right cost, right? So if you really have huge growth plans, beyond a point, you cannot just rely on Google and Facebook, because then it gets super expensive. So that is when your affiliates come into the foray. One, it gives you more variety in terms of the kind of advertising that you want to do, the kind of platforms that you want to target, the kind of users you want to target, and of course the kind of cost model that you want to follow to kind of grow to a certain extent. Right. So that is the kind of flexibility, that is the kind of leverage that affiliates provide you. And if you have huge growth plans, then you cannot just rely on the self-serve platforms. You have to look at other avenues, and affiliates are the best bet. And definitely, if you choose the right kind of affiliates, then they are very reliable. I wouldn't say all the affiliates in the market are reliable, because
Yes.
certain affiliates which don't give you the kind of value that you are investing in them for. But affiliates or partners like Mob Avenue, for instance, for us as well. So we have always believed that if we invest in the right kind of partners and trust in them, then over a period of time they will give you the returns that you expect.
Great to hear that, Shah. And my second question would be in continuing to the first question, how basically the CPA focused growth platform help you achieve growth? And can you please also shed some light on basically the quality which is being driven through these affiliates in terms of GMV and the other quality matrices regarding like tracking the CAC values, etc.
So see, first thing is that it hedges your risk, because when you evolve your cost model. So initially, when we started with Mob Avenue, we started looking at a slightly top of the funnel event, and then over a period of time, we realized that we can look at an event which is more meaningful to us, and which is something that is also understood by the other side, right? And that is how we typically evolve cost models over a period of time. So once you reach that stage when you have that cost model evolved, which is understood and is being able to be optimized from the other side as well. So that hedges your risk with respect to the cost, because at the end you have a certain budget and you have to achieve a certain amount of growth within that budget. So if you have trusted partners that are able to give you the right kind of traffic at a controlled cost with respect to the bottom of the funnel metric, then it definitely gives you a huge leverage, or at least acts as a saving grace when you're trying to manage a budget at a larger scale, right? So that is one. And second, of course, the quality of traffic is something that you can identify and optimize over a period of time. So if, let's say, you are looking to optimize a particular kind of event, or if you're trying to identify a certain kind of users, so then if you're giving those post back signals to the ad networks or to the affiliates, then they will be able to identify that what kind of publishers are they getting that sort of a traffic from, and over a period of time they will be able to align those kind of publishers for you. Right. So of course, it's not as agile when it comes to optimization as compared to, let's say, the self-serve platforms. But when it comes to sustainability with respect to cost and scale, then I would say NED affiliates score over the self-serve platforms.
just to, add some more points to it. In terms of GMV and quality matrices, how would you compare it to the other paid channels?
So when you talk about GMVC, again, it depends on from platform to platform. So let's say when we look at a Facebook, so the kind of quality that we get from there is pretty good, not just with respect to GMV, but also with respect to the
Yes.
lifetime value matrices, like, the other metrics that we track. Right. Then when it comes to Google organics, so the metrics are pretty comparable to what we are looking at ad networks. Of course, there is a certain variance here and there, and different affiliates and different ad networks perform differently. So we can't just club everything under a single umbrella. So
Yeah,
there is
absolutely.
different
Absolutely.
different kinds of partners that we have in the affiliate segment, which give us different kinds of traffic. But yes, overall, I would say that the quality, I wouldn't say it's a solitary adjective that you can put to all the affiliates, but it's varied, and the idea is to optimize it over a period of time and try to look at those levers that work in your favor and see that how you can tweak them in the right way.
So yeah, whenever you start, your campaigns and look for growth, you start these affiliate platforms. With the rise in volume, always comes small little challenges. Fraud is one of these major issues which we are facing as an industry, as an ecosystem. How is this issue of rising fraud affecting the affiliates and the brand? And also, can a brand with a platform helps to curb it or reduce it? What do you think? How can affiliate partner along with the brand and solve this challenge?
So, yeah, I think the first major issue that brands face today when it comes to fraud is the lack of transparency from the affiliate side. So, when we work with a lot of affiliates, had it so been the case that the affiliates themselves were able to identify the fraud and block the fraud at their end, at least the kinds of fraud that they can identify at their end, and only give us the right kind of traffic. I mean, that would have been an utopian situation. But then again, that's not the case. Many of the affiliates do it without having the intent of doing it. A lot of affiliates
Yes,
do it with the intent of doing it as well. The
correct.
industry that we are in today. So because of that, from an advertiser standpoint, it's very difficult to have third-party checks and controls in place, and that's where all these fraud attribution platforms and mechanisms come to the picture. Now, the flip side of that is that because there is so much genuine fraud that is happening in the industry, sometimes in the zest of trying to control fraud, some of the genuine traffic also gets marked as fraud, because again
Yes,
there is
yes.
a very subjective thin line of discretion between what is fraud and what is not fraud. Of course, there are certain kinds of installs, let's say the bot installs that are coming, or let's say if there are very the CTIT sort of installs where the click to install time is very low or very high, which is again let's say click injection, or in certain cases, as I said, the bots and all. So all those kind of frauds are very easy to identify, but then there are certain kinds of fraud which are always subject to a certain kind of discretion. Now, in such cases, sometimes it's very unfortunate that a lot of genuine traffic also gets marked as fraud, and it's basically your word versus my word, and that's becoming a huge challenge many a time to help these affiliates scale up the traffic that they can actually provide. Because after a period of time, if the affiliates are not able to make sense of the kind of payouts that they are giving to the publishers on behalf of an advertiser, then it's not feasible for them also to give you the right quality of traffic. So definitely fraud has become a major issue, and I think it was always a major issue, but now people have, or the advertisers have, identified it. But because there is not enough transparency from many of the affiliates, it has kind of I would say spoiled the industry to some extent, which is why now on the flip side, some of the genuine traffic is also getting marked. I think one way to resolve it is to identify the right kind of fraud matrices between the advertiser and the advert network or affiliate or any other publisher with whom, let's say, an advertiser works, right at the outset. And then, as and when the relationship moves along, try to evolve it and try to identify and keep adding more and more parameters to it. So definitely, it involves a high level of involvement both from the advertiser side and the publisher side. But at the end of the day, if we really want to scale with a particular partner in the right way, I think that's the best way forward, because then there is no scope of subjectivity, because whatever has been discussed is what you kind of adhere to. And of course, the fraud types also keep evolving with time. So it's not that, once you start, you can only go ahead with the plan A for the rest of your engagement. So that's why it requires more involvement. So when you identify a new kind of use case, which could be fraud, then, to identify those parameters, that, okay, this is the parameter basis which we are going to identify this as fraud or something like that. So those kind of discussions need to happen time and again, and it requires involvement from both ends. But if that happens, I believe that will help the advertisers and publishers to scale the traffic to the next level.
Very well said, Ishan. Completely agree with that. We as an affiliate also face this heat and this issue. I mean, it has to be a synchronized manner where both the brand and the affiliate work together and basically sort of figure this out. The transparency also should be provided from the brand side as well, so as the affiliate could also work on those parameters and refine their traffic. Okay, so my fourth question to you would be, in terms of growth, we'll talk about using these CPA channels. Are these good? Are these bad? I mean, your comments.
So yeah, I think when it comes to growth, so I believe any growth is good growth, but I think the bigger question is that whether the affiliates can help us scale the way we want to scale. So
Yes.
from that standpoint, as an advertiser, the first main problem statement that we have is to identify the portfolio of channels or the right kind of media mix that will help us grow to the next level, right? So when we are, let's say, going from 0 to 1, then the kind of channel mix that we are looking at is very different versus when we are going from, let's say, 1 to 10 and 10 to 100 and so on and so forth, right? So to understand the growth, the stage of growth at which we are in as an organization, and then identifying the right kind of channel mix is the first part of the problem statement. The second part is that once you have identified those channels, and let's say you have certain affiliates, so let's say in the journey from 1 to 10, it typically is where affiliates start playing a bigger role. From 0 to 1, if you're looking at that journey, so a lot of it can be helped by these self-serve platforms, and to be honest, they are a little easier to operate with as well, because as I said, they give you a larger control and they help you with those additional levers that will help you look at growth slightly quicker than maybe what it comes with, let's say, the affiliates, where there's a certain level of human involvement involved as well, right? So now when you're doing that 1 to 10 journey, and that's where let's say you onboard a few affiliate partners who you feel will help you in this journey. So now the idea is to work with the affiliate partners in a very collaborative and patient, because most of the times or most of the mistakes that advertisers make is to trying to compare affiliates with the self-serve platforms as an apple to apple, whereas it's not an apple to
Very
apple.
well, very well
The
said. Yeah.
nature of both these platforms are very different, right? One of those platforms will give you larger levers, it will give you more control, it will show you growth quicker, and it will give you a bigger scale outright, versus the other channel, which might take a little time to kick off. It will require some understanding at the end of the affiliate as well, that how your funnel looks like, what are the events that can be optimized, what are the kind of publishers that can be provided to you, or the traffic from which of these publishers can be provided to you to help you get the kind of growth or the kind of optimizations that you're looking for. So these kind of channels require some time, some patience, some effort, some level of involvement, let's say on the fraud metrics and other stuff. So one has to invest in these channels. The outcome of that investment is that if you find, first of all, the right partner, so that's the foremost thing. If you're trying all these things with a partner that is not aligned to your business goals, then you might end up burning your hands, and maybe it might not be a great experience. But if you identify the right kind of partner, and then you follow the right process with that kind of partner, maybe a couple of months down the line, you will find the right kind of growth that you're looking at. And when I say the right kind of growth, I mean a huge scale at a cost that controls your overall budget spilling over. Because at the end of the day, on Facebook and Google, you are paying them on impressions. You might be optimizing for a bottom of the funnel event, but the costing is happening at the impression level. So there is always that delta that you cannot control. But the good part in these affiliate networks is that if you help them understand your business model, and if you gain the right kind of trust with them and on them, then you'll be able to scale at a more controlled cost. And that is something that will bring your overall CAC down, which will be great for your organizational goals. So yes, the idea is to invest and then to harvest at a later stage.
And what are the cons basically which you feel working with these growth platforms?
So the cons majorly, first is to kind of, you don't know, which partner is going to give you the right kind of traffic, because at the end of the day, a Google or a Facebook, you can't live without them, right? So any
Yes.
advertiser who starts their campaigns, their first campaign will probably be on either a Google or a Facebook, depending on what's the industry they operate in, right? But when it comes to affiliates, I mean, you don't know that, what's the kind of traffic that you're getting from them, or what's where the ads are being shown up. So sometimes, let's say the ads are coming, there is a genuine person behind the ad, but it's being shown on platforms that you don't want your ads to be shown on. Let's say if it's being shown on a pornographic website right now, you don't want to be associated with that sort of a platform where your ads are being shown, and you don't know, you have no control
Yeah,
of
yeah,
how,
absolutely.
right? So that is one major issue. The second major issue is that, sometimes, it's the intent is right at both ends, right? It's maybe the affiliate or partner also wants to scale the traffic with you, and you also of course want to scale the traffic. But because the levels of tweaking are quite a bit, or because, let's say in our case, for instance, we do fintech lending, so because there are so many steps that the user has to go through, even though the overall time span is fairly less to kind of install, from installation to get a loan, but because there are so many drop-off points, if there is anything that breaks in the journey here and there at the very beginning, then sometimes the advertisers, or rather the publishers or the affiliates, are not able to trust us as much, and that impedes our overall growth. Right. So again, when I say trust, it's not just the trust that an advertiser lays on the affiliate, but it also has to be a trust on the other side. Because many a time, what happens is that initially the affiliates might lose money in running these campaigns, because they are just trying to optimize things, and over a period of time, only they will realize that what kind of traffic works and what not. So some affiliates lose patience and they scale down the traffic, and then it goes on for quite a few conversations, and eventually the advertiser also loses interest, because we also have limited time and efforts to
Yeah.
invest. Right. So that's where I think the other con is that sometimes, even though there is potential at both ends, from an advertiser end to spend, and from the affiliate side to kind of get the right kind of traffic, but because of some trust issues, some miscommunications, you're never able to hit that winning formula, and that's something that is unfortunate, which is not the case with Google or Facebook, because there is limited human involvement as of today. So to counter that, or the contingency plan is, of course, to have open conversations, as we discussed, have more transparency, have more open-ended agreements to begin with, and then try to confine the limitations over a period of time once there is enough understanding and trust at both ends. So that's the way to counter it.
Great, great. Good to hear that. Obviously, I mean, now that these alternate channels, I mean, they are evolving themselves in terms of technology, and the solutions which are being offered by them to basically hit the next level growth, and obviously with the brand, and to achieve their next level of goals, which what they have. So my fifth question to you would be, I mean, what are these other transparent models do you think, I mean, which can be built around these reseller and partner community, which can really act as an affiliate partner? For example, we can take platforms like Misho, Glowroad, One Code, Bromo, and these other alternate distribution platforms for I mean, their products and the services which are being offered.
So definitely, I mean, one of the things that we as an entity are exploring, and probably the entire industry is moving towards, is to identify the right kind of channel integrations where there is a huge scope of cross selling in the product itself. So right now, I mean, when we are looking at integrations, or when we look at ad networks, it's just traffic redirection, where there is no deeper integration between the platforms. It's just that certain apps are able to monetize their platforms, and that's where all these affiliates and ad networks come into the picture. But probably the next level of growth from here would be to identify those platforms which actually have the kind of traffic, or actually have the kind of consumers to whom you can cater. And instead of just redirecting traffic from one platform to the other, identify deeper product integrations where you're able to cross sell across platforms, which will lead to a better user experience, and at the same time it will help you grow in a much more seamlessly integrated manner, because that's how I think the industry has started to evolve. And as you rightly said, you named a few brands. So we are also identifying partnerships with different platforms, with different channel partners, not just from a like a lead sharing or a traffic redirection standpoint, but also
Mhm.
from view of able to provide customized solutions to our users in a common way, which serves both the platforms and helps us grow together as one.
What are your thoughts on basically these communities, basically those content creators, how they can, come under the category of affiliates and help a brand grow? Like, I mean, from your experience, what you have to suggest and say?
So I would not club them under affiliates for sure, because the nature of communication and the nature of service that they provide is very different from an affiliate. So an affiliate typically works with, as you would know better than anyone, you guys work with a lot of publishers. You guys have a huge inventory, and it's largely automated and digitally driven. From a DSP side, on the advertiser or side, at the publisher or the ad network end. But when you talk about these influencers or content
No, no,
creators,
I'm not talking about these influencers. Basically, this community and basically someone who creates a content, but not an influencer. These small resellers, these small kirana shops, they also have their community. And how, in terms of fintech company, how they can help you, achieve your goals. Could be
right?
small communities, but they can obviously provide some data or some users through that channel as well.
Right. So let's say when we talk about fintech lending, so one of the key channels for us is the DSA network that we have, or and that DSA network is not just people who are catering to loan applications offline, but also, as you said, these kirana stores, or basically these smaller offline come online
Yes,
communities,
or like come online, you can consider that. Yes.
helps us in a way that they have a better word of mouth. So I mean, if let's say I am referring my friend to take a loan from Credit B, so
Mhm.
that would be taken as a much more credible reference point than probably the person looking at an ad on their phone any day, because they know that I would have had a good experience, and only then I am going and referring it to my friend, especially in an industry which directly deals with your credit score, which is very, very critical to all of us when it comes to our personal finance options. So people are very careful when it comes to lending, and that's where a word of mouth or a referral plays a huge role. And that's where we try to leverage these kind of communities to kind of help us spread the word, and also to be able to control the quality of users that we are reaching out to, because we won't want to because when we choose a community, we also want to ensure that the community is helping us grow in the right way. So we don't want to invest in the wrong kind of communities, or let's say the communities that are not suited for us. So it helps us also control the quality of traffic, and at the same time it also helps the users gain a larger trust from us. And also it becomes a very good voice of consumer, because these communities are able to give us feedback that we cannot be able to get very directly from our digital channels, because they are the ones who are dealing with other consumers who are coming to Credit B, and they are directly dealing with us as well. So they also help us identify our proposition strengths and weaknesses in a more elaborate manner, and which helps us improve better. So I think it's definitely a channel to invest in.
So yeah, that's it. I have from my side. Thank you for joining the panel and sharing your views on the affiliate side, how they can actually become the next level growth partners for you guys in terms of other paid channels. Thank you, Ishan. If you have any questions, happy to answer. And obviously, the audience pool is open. Anyone wants to ask any question from me, from Ishan, yeah, happy.
Right. So thank you, Palash. Again, I think the questions were very relevant to affiliate marketing overall, and I believe that is something I think is going to be the I wouldn't say the next big thing, because as it is, a lot of entities are investing in digital media affiliate marketing. But for entities that are trying to get to the next level of growth, who have just started advertising and who are trying to identify what are the next avenues of growth. So I would strongly suggest that look for the right kind of partners first, maybe get some references from the industry as to which are the affiliates, which are the ad networks that are helping bigger brands and entities out. And once you're able to get those references or you're able to identify them, then invest in them. And when I say invest, I'm not just saying money, but invest time, invest efforts in understanding what they require from you to kind of help you scale the traffic up. And once you guys hit the right kind of node, then it will eventually go into an autopilot mode. So yes, I think that's what I would want to, those are the thoughts I would want to part with.
Thank you, gentlemen, for an interesting chat session on affiliate marketing. Now we'll proceed to the next panel discussion. Stay connected with us.